Let's go. Everybody, when you're paleka, we can do it. I feel refreshed. When you're paleka, come on.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Talk to Sven. I really welcome all viewers, and I'd like to thank you also for voting for next week's edition, but I'll share a little bit more about it. Today, we'll be discussing the future of the tourism industry in Namibia. The tourism industry, not many people know, is one of the most important industry in Namibia. It's contributing about 15% to the GDP and also 15% to the employment creation. Here with me today, I've got some experts in the field, and we'll be sharing more about what they see about the future. Let me first start with Gitta Petzold. She's the CEO of the Hospitality Association of Namibia. Gitta, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the...
Maybe one or two words about you.
Yes, I'm a born Namibian. My profession is actually political science. Many people don't believe that. I studied politics just for me to know that I'd never be able to go into politics. That was too stringent for me. Then I sort of had a good chance in journalism, and journalism brought me into tourism. I love traveling and I love people, and I think that's the industry that brought out the best in me. So I stuck with it now. I think I'm in my 25th year and I'm loving it. And I will be able to do so for the next couple of years, I'm sure of it.
It's a love story. It's a passion which I don't think you will ever lose.
Exactly.
It's true.
That's what tourism does.
Exactly. Secondly, we have Gijs Joubert, who is the MD of the Gondwana Collection Namibia. Gijs, welcome. A company all look up to. Maybe one or two words about yourself. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Sven, for having me. Thank you for this wonderful initiative. Yes, like Gita said, I'm also a passionate Namibian heart and soul, which makes it so much easier to sell our wonderful country to the international world. I've got a legal background, and I worked in banking for 10 years, and I've been in tourism now for about 5 years. I realized the other day that in the financial crisis of 2008, it was a banking crisis. I was in banking. Now COVID is very much a tourism crisis, and now I'm in tourism. So it seems that I know how to pick them.
Sure.
Excellent. No, welcome once again.
Thank you, Sven.
And then from the mighty Swakopmund, Heinrich Hafeni. He is a owner in the tourism sector, a small business. He's also the owner of the Hafeni Africa Tourism and Hafeni Traditional Restaurants. Hafeni, you said earlier you are from the mighty Swakopmund. Please, one or two words about yourself.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Sven, for the opportunity for me to be part of this great, progressive platform. I'm Heinrich Hafeni. I obviously, in the tourism industry, I started off as a dishwasher many months back, and worked my way up to be a waiter, and then, rest working in Africa. And, Africa gave me a platform to, go back to my beautiful motherland, Namibia, and see how I can go partake as an entrepreneur in, starting my own tourism business, whereby I started to, doing township tours and, eventually starting a traditional restaurant. And yeah, the rest is history. And then I continue to be, tourism industry is all I know, and, but what makes me relevant as a Namibian. And yes, so we're confronted today by the COVID-19, and we now need to find solution how to keep afloat as a result. Thank you for this godly platform. Thank you.
Yeah, Hafeni, once again, thank you for joining us. Question: we know that obviously the COVID-19 has really impacted us, but are we fine technically?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm having a technological. I can hear the guys on the background, so I can't hear you nicely. Maybe I don't know.
All right.
I can hear them talking.
Well, I come back to you just now. Let me go over to Gijs for the time being. As I said earlier, we all know now the impact of COVID in terms of what has changed our daily lives and all sorts.
Absolutely.
But what is actually the impact on tourism?
Sven, unfortunately, it is pretty much complete. The impact is complete. I think it is very important that people understand, the fact that local tourism has opened up again now, so the Namibians can travel, and that, I think it's wonderful. It's wonderful for the nation and for our mental health. But and there are wonderful initiatives now like Local is Lekker and all those things. That's fantastic. But people must understand that we in the export industry. Tourism is an export product, and local tourism cannot carry the tourism industry. It is impossible. We at Gondwana we have the Gondwana card. We've had it for almost 15 years. The 50% discount for Namibians. So we have the data, and in a good year when the Namibian economy is doing well, the Namibians might be 15% of our turnover. And with the economic situation at the moment, you're talking about best case scenario, 10%, and being a fixed cost industry, it's just simply impossible for local tourism to carry us. So yeah, the impact has been dire.
You see, many people also said to me before we have this talk to Sven today, said, do people know how important it is? And I think, you said something just now, we are in the export. And I think we earlier said that we have 15% GDP contribution, 15% employment contribution in Namibia, and we are an export industry. So I think there's another way maybe to explain to our viewers how important the tourism industry is, earning foreign currency. To Gitta, just to share with us your view on the impact. I mean, you are the chairman of the Hospitality Association, and you all probably you get it from all sides.
Well, executive officer, yes, and I always explain to those people that are not quite within the tourism sector, I said, on the 16th of March, our government physically, virtually banned travel. The travel ban means that we are forbidden to do what we are appointed to do. And it's not only affecting lodges or hotels or the airline business or tour operators. It was heartbreaking for me when I walked through Swakopmund on the first week of May, and I saw the souvenir sellers there, those little gemstone sellers. They were sitting on the streets with empty hands and empty eyes because they were so desperate, because we as Namibians have never bought from them. We will not buy because I always think I can pick it up myself. They are desperate, so it's not the industry is such that has always been perceived, and we saw now last week when the Namibian Statistics Agency issued the first COVID impact assessment. They always reduce tourism to the tangibles, the hotel and restaurant industry, and that's what I'm representing, so I feel quite proud that we are being reflected. But tourism is so much more. It's the game drive warden, it's the tour guide, it's the person working at the airport. They're all at the moment sitting, not waiting, not knowing what the future will bring. And I think that's the most frustrating. And I've actually seen it happening, when the travel ban came, and luckily we always console ourselves with the fact that it's not only Namibia, the whole world has been banned. The travel ban has been worldwide. Now, yesterday there was an announcement in Europe that as of the 15th of June, some of the travel bans will be lifted, and that's what we're aspiring to. But at the moment there's so much insecurity and so many people depend on tourism. We say that, yes, we have appointed on our fixed wage bill maybe 65,000 people, but almost double that number are depending on tourism to make a living. And that's the sad thing. The whole scope of the impact and the influences tourism has had on people's lives has suddenly been halted. And I know we are not the only sector being impacted, but I think because of the physical travel ban, our industry has sort of been put a line through. And that's the challenging part, and the insecurity going forward.
Yeah, and I think you're making, again, a very important point about people always associate tourism just with tourism, with hotels and restaurants and so forth. And I've also read a study now that they estimate that each job, and apparently they say it's about 80,000 people employed in the tourism industry in Namibia, and it has an impact on 10. That means 800,000, almost a third of Namibians, Namibian population is affected by that. And I think, again, it shows you how important the industry, and that is my next point to you, Hafeni, now, is Gita was referring to the small businesses basically, that benefit being the street vendors and all sorts. How did COVID-19 impact you as a small business owner? So it must be very hard.
No, thank you, Sven. Yeah, glad to be back. Yeah, COVID-19, I think it's a reality that, I mean, as a small business owner, that I have not prepared for. Obviously, I mean, our tourism sector is obviously have, windows of prosperity, which is a low season and a high season. And obviously, we've been doing very well. I mean, as a result, we've been getting cruise liners and we've been getting more business. And I think this year was supposed to be one of the biggest, the best year for our business. And we've built a lot of relations. And as a result, COVID-19 came and obviously, finished everything, all the hard work that we've ever done. And it brought a lot of, obviously, it's a stressful period for, I mean, I'm also included in this, that we had to lay off employees. I had to close one of my business in Walfish Bay due to, no, I mean, cash flow. I mean, it's king. I mean, you've told me before in the breakthrough leadership when you invited me in 2014 that Fanny, wait until you grow. That's when you see the problem. So I've experienced, not able, struggling to keep my business afloat. And obviously with, yeah, COVID-19 just came, and obviously one is trying to find contingencies to keep the business alive. But obviously, I've realized that most of my business as well, the foreign tourist dominated much of my income revenue, and hence, obviously, it's at the current scenario, just like any other business, I'm also affected, and obviously looking at how to keep afloat. Looking at Plan B to keep relevant, just like everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about Plan B, and what I said, Gijs was also earlier saying that the problem is we are planning at the moment. You have Plan B and Plan C, and maybe soon Plan D, and you don't know, how long this goes on. We actually working in the dark, and I think that makes it so difficult from especially the smaller you are, but they always say the small businesses are suffering more. I think where the big businesses are equally suffering with all the overheads that come along. So how do you personally feel about this, Hafeni? How do you keep your confidence, not knowing when the next tourists are coming?
Just the last point there.
How do you personally keep motivating yourself and making sure that you overcome this stressful period, because you don't know when that ends?
No, thank you. You can see that I'm looking very good today. I woke up, I prayed. I think this is where you now need God more than ever. You have to go. People think that a businessman, you are you are not you need to find the motivation to continue in the midst of it all. At the end of the day, I think I'm a very positive person. I'm going through hardship like any other entrepreneur in this country or around the world. I'm affected 100%. Either you can probably say that we're all bankrupt, but at the end of the day, I said, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm champion. I must survive. This is just temporary. Obviously, you look at your strength, and obviously within this, I'm looking at my other strength. What am I good at? What is it that I can still do? Obviously, anything that is a liability now, you're trying to get rid of. And finding, even, traveling, finding, and, the motivation is just to stay relevant, looking at the opportunities are there. Currently, the morale around the, country is very down. And you're looking at how do you, find a product that will inspire, our people to be relevant again. And I think, yeah. Yeah, so as I said, you're looking at, I mean, as I said, it's tough. You're trying to really mitigate finding, when the borders are closed, you realize that, oh, goodness, we need to keep borders open. But at the end of the day, health is first. But again, motivation within, looking at, engaging like this is a great platform to learn from the best of Namibian business, and to say how, to learn from the best, align with positive thinkers at the time now, to be able to be also stay relevant, because right now you need positive energy. And obviously bills are, right now as a business, you have got the bills, and the bills continue to come even though Corona is here. But now you look at ways and say, temporary. I must be relevant. I will win again. I'm champion. And I think that is the motivation that we need in this country. Yes, we are going through a tough time. We don't want to lay off workers, but at the end of the day, we need to save whatever last dignity that we have to be able to. And if we are to go down as entrepreneurs and opportunity creators, obviously our country will not be, it's not doing good justice for our country. So we need to be relevant. And obviously we do need that support to be relevant. And yesterday I was fortunate to be at the Strand Hotel and Bro and Butcher, and then I see Namibians enjoying and like wow, relevant again, and employees are smiling again. And we need to save jobs. Yes, we need to be relevant, but at the end of the day, I think positivity is very key for us right now.
Sure.
And I'm one of those, and I said we are champions. We will overcome this. We are from the land of the brave. But again, our stakeholders must also understand where we come from, that we cannot we want to do the right thing, but we are pressed we want to find also positive solution for our country and to keep jobs. And then also, I think in a nutshell, it's just trying to keep relevant, looking at the ocean and finding inspiration, for the Almighty, and then continue again, and then listening to guitar, and then, guys, how they're doing wonderful work, how to be able to, Gondwana is doing great. I mean, trying to keep jobs and, but it's not easy. And guitar engaging at high level, trying to find a solution together with the tourism stakeholders. So we're all trying, we're in it together. We just need to hold hands.
Sure.
Holding hands is key for us to move to the next level. Thank you.
Yeah. Somehow the coronavirus is only applicable to the income. We find maybe we find a coronavirus that is also applicable to the bills. Unfortunately, they stay. Reis, I mean, on that, there's nothing we can do. The expenses stay. How do you keep positive? How do you? We heard now from Heinrich. We have to believe, and we have to really. How do you keep yourself and your people positive? And I think we need this as our viewers to, what can we learn from you?
Sven, and it is difficult. It really is difficult. We have to be real about it. And I think Alfeni, brilliant what he just said about the positivity. The current default is stressed. The current default is depression. It is negativity. That is the default. So to counter that constantly with inspiration, with positivity, like I've finished it, and we find that at Gondwana what really helps is to use this crisis to be creative. To sit around a table and to say, okay, guys, this is our reality. We cannot deny it. We can sit in the corner and cry,
Sure.
which we sometimes want to do. But let's be creative. Let's reinvent Gondwana. Let's reinvent ourselves. Let's reinvent the tourism industry. And that creativity it really helps. But it's something really to focus on and to talk about. The mental health in these times. We've started a thing in Gondwana with the voice notes with one of our colleagues, Jenny Visser, who sends mental health voice notes we've got a CEO group, a WhatsApp group, where we can speak to all the employees directly, and we send them these voice notes in terms of positivity, in terms of looking after yourselves, and I think that's working a lot. But we need to focus on it, and it's not easy.
Well, yeah. Well, wonderful idea, as we heard with the voice notes, keep motivating the staff. Gita, I mean, have any touched on it, and I've actually asked you before the session, where do you get the energy from, fighting at all fronts and trying to do the best for the industry, and you're actually not yourself, have a business in tourism, you really do it for the love of the country, so where do you get that energy from?
You see, Hafeni's lucky, he's got the ocean to push him. He's got the energy from the ocean. But we in Namibia, and I must be honest, at some point, it's so easy to look into Namibia and look into nature. And I have to stress that Namibia should actually count itself lucky, and I believe our international relations minister said the same thing. We're not doing too badly if we compare ourselves to other countries. We've had a webinar with Southern African stakeholders and associations a couple of days ago. And they said, hey, Namibia, you are so lucky. You could actually, as of the beginning of May, start with domestic tourism. Now, yesterday we saw that big door opening for us in hospitality and restaurants, being able to serve the wining and dining experience. So we are taking baby steps into a new normal. And so that's where I take positivity on. We are moving, albeit not at the pace that we need to cover the bills that you guys are confronted with, but at least there is movement at some stage. And then I also take, first of all, I mean, our country is so strong, and I think our country will be there post-COVID too. We've got so much going for us, and the frustration is now that we know this Namibia has such wonderful opportunities. We are the predestinated destination post-COVID because we've got the wide open spaces, we've got the clean air, we've got the sunshine galore that apparently is helping to suppress the virus. And then I'm always positively encouraged by comments coming from Europe and our partners over there, that when I send messages, and we've got a couple of publishing houses, for instance, in Europe, they say, Gita, don't despair. You wouldn't believe the interest that there is in Namibia, and people are almost standing queue to be able to come to Namibia once the doors and the borders open again. And I think we mustn't forget that it is frustrating to know that we've got the potential to get people here, that people are willing, but that somebody still keeps the lock closed. And that's what that's basically what we're doing now, is engaging with our stakeholders and the decision makers to say, yes, we have to have compromises on some sides, but we have to weigh up the compromises. And the worst scenario at the moment is keeping the economy so suppressed that it basically starves people. So, but my positivity is we've got a wonderful country, we've got opportunities, people are very keen. They compare us with some of the best in terms of how we dealt with the crisis so far, and compliments to our leadership there. But now is the time for us to start moving and engaging in maybe even stronger fashion to make sure that we are first in line when borders open, because I know that there have been stories already to say Africa is basically lining up for post-COVID travel. And if they talk Africa, I would love to see Namibia there first and not our other wonderful countries next door. So yeah, there is opportunity. We must now work towards grabbing it.
Mm. I mean, there was one of the latest studies says that Namibia is at the moment rated top 5 in the world of the most popular destination. Now, and I think we know the potential, you said it. We have a wonderful country, but without the tourists, it won't be doing. Can tourism be saved? If we really think about this at the moment. Well, let's look at Afeni, that he has to still wait for another year to have customers coming back, you or me, or whatever.
One of our leaders in tourism, Paul Brinkman, had that classical saying to say, tourism doesn't work without tourists. And yes, I know they talk about domestic tourism, and we're very grateful that domestic tourism has been encouraged to do. But Gijs said it just now, if we're lucky, we can reach 10% of our normal occupancies. And that, given the current economic status, it won't even reach the 10%, if I can see by the Hunt statistics that we produce. We need the borders to open. And yes, I know it might just bring in more COVID cases because the whole world has that pandemic revolving, and movement of people will most probably move some of the virus too. But we have to weigh off the consequences of doing the one or doing the other. And at the moment, I feel that we would be safer and better off if we were to take the chance, and in a very controlled way. And we're not shouting for borders to be open completely as of tomorrow. There are ways and means, and the world has shown there are sort of, they call it air bridges between the UK and Portugal, for instance, that they say, okay, because we know that you deal with the crisis the similar way to what we do, we would allow travel to and fro. Travel bridges between, like New Zealand and Australia has done, they've decided that they can actually allow their nationalities to move from one country to the other. And I think we've got opportunity in Central Europe as well, where we have direct air access, and basically push the controls and the checks and balances to the other side, and say, allow those people that have been checked for viruses or the antibodies that they talk about, and have the checks done there. And I know that there are people willing to take the test. It costs something between 60 and 100 euros. They say, if I pay 1,000 euros for an air ticket, what's another 100 euros? Because people are desperate to travel. Maybe not this year. We're hoping for September, October. International travel most probably will only pick up next year, but we have to open up those pathways and do it in a controlled way. And we've got stakeholders on both sides that are willing and able to take the bull by the horns now and run with it. We just need an all-of-government approach and all of Namibia as one team to actually move forward.
I've just recently had a look at a talk on experts were talking about what they believe how the industry is going to change, and they, for example, listed a few things like there will be a whole new approach to the health and well-being of a customer or a guest walking in. There will be the fact that one has to stay nimble, stay on top of matters, even go as far as reducing the menu to be able to keep to the whole health and safety. Building trust of what you do and how do you look after. It's the back office, the front office that's going to work completely different to was ever seen before, and obviously an attitude that we don't have an anti-attitude towards all these new procedures and compliances that we have to follow, and of course transparency in communication, as well as the arrival and the departure of guests. Gijs, to you, how are you setting yourself up for the post-COVID-19 now? I mean, there's so many areas that you would have to look into.
Absolutely. So Sven, what we've already done, for the opening up of the domestic market, and also with the help of people like Gita, we have a protocol. Like you said, it's not business as usual in terms of the sanitation at the lodges, the way we do things, away with buffets, plated service, and all those things. To be sensitive, social distancing, about all those things. But Sven, Gita touched on it, and we've also seen it. The demand is tremendous. It's not good. It is tremendous, and we have a wonderful opportunity, and Alfeni has also touched on that, for Namibia in a responsible manner to grab this opportunity. It's a window of opportunity. It's not a to open up our borders for international tourists, because our partners say your COVID status has not gone unnoticed. We see that, and you use the word now in terms of our attitude towards these things. Our attitude towards our new reality, our attitude towards this virus. I'm a little bit worried about a narrative, a false narrative out there in the nation that if this virus comes, it will kill us all. That is false. The world, it's been with us now for quite a while, so we know the facts. We understand the facts. We understand the vulnerable part of the population, and we understand that the vast majority. If you look at a profile like Namibia, I think our median age is something like 18. There's a very low risk. In terms of Namibia, not to be, we're not being irresponsible or anything, but we have an opportunity here. And people say, well, your COVID status makes sense if you look at, your vast open spaces and your sparse population. So, I feel that, in business like in life, our job is not to minimize risk. It is to optimize risk. Alfeni would have still been a dishwasher if he wasn't willing to take a risk. And look at how brilliant he's done, what a beautiful business he's built, because he's got the ability as an entrepreneur to optimize risk. So, if we want to avoid the virus at all costs, well, then we must lock down this country probably for 3 years, and tourism and the rest of the economy will not exist anymore. That is a fact. So, how Fanny said it, this is the land of the brave. It's not the land of the fear. So we cannot build our future on fear. We must build our future on hope. And I think that is very important, to look at, yes, operationally you put these things in place for the sanitation, and that's a good thing that can come out of this crisis. But we have to face the future with confidence and ability, and we must, as a nation, we must get away from this fear-mongering.
Yeah, I love the words to optimize risk. It's a really beautiful way of grabbing opportunities. Hafeni, from a small business point of view, what do you think needs to change post COVID-19? What is it that you can share with other small business owners?
I think if I heard you correctly, Mr. Sven, you said post-COVID-19, right?
Yeah, post-COVID-19, and what do you think needs to change, and what you can share with small business owners that, like you, once started as a dishwasher, and today you're a successful entrepreneur?
Oh, so basically, it's just there's a technicality of hearing the The guys on the background. But okay, I think I heard you. Post COVID-19, and I think the message should be that starting, when we start a business for the right reason, um, we will always be succeed and successful, because we start with a great mentality to say that we are going to be part of business Namibia, and whether the storms they come, we will eventually, not eventually, definitely win. COVID-19 is here, and we need to, as small businesses, yes, the impact is very huge. It's like destroys. Many of entrepreneurs have given up, but I think that we must within find um, a greater motivation to even win, because this is now the time where opportunities are here. Um, and then this is the time where we can be able to, really hold hands. And I think in terms of right now is the time where we need now partnership and holding hands together and collaborating and finding synergies how to win. And I hope I heard you very well, because I have a bit of a technicality in hearing you very well, Mr. Sven. I hope because you're talking about the solution post
Yes, yes, yes.
COVID-19, and maybe as a small entrepreneur myself, what is my motivation? If I'm not correctly, is that what you must have
Just
asked?
sharing what is the thoughts and ideas you have for others, that what you've learned to do
Or the thought?
different.
Oh, okay. No, I think the thought that I have is that going forward, I think, for me, operating a small tour business, I need people who are doing marketing. I need people who are doing different kind of, products that, offer. I think these are the guys that needs to now look at opportunities. Uh, Looking at Hafeni's business, and then looking at how can, we all need each other to advance our own organizations. And then again, if I've listened correctly to the viewers, that we must find, look within. I mean, I think we as a country cannot really, we've got lockdown currently right now, and it's in fact that we need to really look deep into the lockdown and look at what is it, how can we be able to coexist with the lockdown. And again, the entrepreneurs who are out there, is that we, it's not easy, and I know that everybody is following us right now, and they're looking at what is the solutions. And currently nobody is able to give a solution, but the motivation is just that we must have an inner hunger, and a drive and an engine that never say die. And you've always talked about the next level, and I think that's the same message that I will want to give to the entrepreneurs who, after that, we must, really think way beyond our current capacity. Currently, we are thinking, right now, we're thinking about the moment, and that's why many of us are not able to survive going forward. And that's why post COVID-19, I'm also working with, Africa, for instance. I've started working with my South African counterpart, Mandela Washington Fellow, to look at how can we save Africa. I think Africa needs, this is a time where we don't just focus on Namibia. Currently, all of us are focused on Namibia. Our market is very small, and I see an opportunity for us to integrate into Africa, to create an African platform. And we're looking at bringing, a business platform, business summit here in Namibia that is focused on Africa and bring African entrepreneurs here. And then the aim is to be able to connect African entrepreneurs to integrate and to interconnect with one another and to find solution within the African continent. So that's one of the big things that I've been working on while we are faced with COVID-19, and looking at what is it that we must do, what is missing in our atmosphere. And that is what we're working on. And at the end of the day, we're thinking differently. And I think what is the message? But at the end of the day, my message is very clear. Is that yes, we are faced in this, but we cannot, complaining will not help anybody. We must be able to now, as a government, our government is a pillar, and I've always strongly believed that government can play a critical role in advancing a prosperous economic society. And moving forward, we need to hold hands. And then I think, as I said, the message is clear. We, yeah,
Good. Yeah, no,
and as
very
I said,
clear. Very clear.
it's very small,
Yeah.
and I think we and everybody and my friends are asking me, Afeni, you must be representing us And yes, we are representing everybody, but at the end of the day, we're all in it together. We need to open the border. If the border are closed, all our business are going to close down. Small entrepreneurs, don't give up. Keep your business lights on. We can get over this and we will win. We need more entrepreneurs in this country. Yeah, we need more. And
Yeah.
we need to sensitize. And I think the companies and organizations, and as I said, we need bailout, and bailout is not there. But now, what we must do, we must now still keep the door open, find a way. And the staff and the workforce must also understand the employer also, because we also want not to get rid of jobs. We want to keep jobs.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you, Feni. I've got a question and two comments, and I think I'll actually combine them. Firstly, Rhino, thank you very much for your comment here. And I just will repeat it for all. He says that I do agree that we need to focus on our tourists, but one thing we are forgetting is our local market, which, a matter of fact, is required to pay just as high tariff than the tourists. This unfortunately means that we as Namibians cannot afford to stay and enjoy our own country. And also, Dennis Isaacs, thank you for your comment. He says that I think that the tourism industry would have been better off if they made prices cheaper for local Namibians. All of a sudden, they are having specials and trying to save their businesses rather than had done that all along. And we have a question from Joshua Potts that actually puts the question then together, says, so what marketing strategies will be put in place for the domestic tourism? And I think maybe, Gees, I know that you have many initiatives about promoting tourism for the locals as well. And as maybe then thereafter, I'd like to hear just, Gita, what are the marketing strategies that we're going to use? Maybe perhaps to you first.
Yeah, thank you, Sven. I think, if you look back at the history, of Gondwana and the decision to roll out the Gondwana card, with a special for Namibians and for regional visits, that was born out of a place, in terms of the exchange rate, the gap between something like the euro and the Namibian dollars that's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger every year over many years. Namibia provides in tourism a world-class product. So we must understand that a large part of our cost of sales is imported. So we cannot let the quality of the product go just because of the exchange rate difference. So yes, we are not a cheap destination, but with the 50% discount that we provide with the Gondwana cards, it was to cater for exactly that. The point is valid. Namibia is not to travel to lodges is not cheap for Namibians. Yeah. That is why we have the 50%, and it's a permanent gesture. It's not a special. If we run specials, the specials are on top of the 50% for locals, and it's not only about the business side of it. It's also important for the nation to get to know our own country. Sure. I'm 43 years old, and there are a few things that I've only recently seen. Sure. Brilliantly beautiful what we have to offer the world, and also for nation building, it's good for locals to get out there, and especially our youth, to see our country, and also to experience the different cultures that we have in our country.
I think I'm sure maybe Gita, there's probably also websites. I know that we also got Namibian specials. I think Gondwana's got the specials. And sometimes what you can do as well is phone the lodge itself. I found that when you phone them, they'll give you a special price for Namibians, as the question from Rhino. So maybe may not always be successful, but the direct call may help you in that as well. Gita, before we get to the marketing strategies, I think we all know Namibia, and sometimes I think we've got not only the big five, 6 or 7, 8, I think we still have to make it up. I think if you look at the journey from Liderates with the rich history of Komanskup and the diamonds, we've got the second largest canyon in the world after the Grand Canyon. We've got the oldest desert, and we've got the highest dunes. I think here there was once a debate between where's the highest, in the Sossusvlei or in Walvis Bay. But here you can read the history of Swakopmund, the northeast. We can talk about the Toshapan. We can talk about the Chobe, And I think there are so many big ones in there. I don't know, where was it now? Big 7, big 8? Yeah, and with huge potential. You know, what are the strategies other than that, Gita? And maybe also in closing, we're running out of time now. Last words from you. What are we doing in terms of marketing strategies for locals and beyond the big 5, big 8, what I'm talking about?
Look, tourism most probably is one of the most competitive industries. We're fighting with 280 other destinations for a cluster of people that like traveling, and that's Central Europe. They used to be the world champions and have been overtaken by the Chinese market, but I think that's by the sheer numbers. The passion for travel still comes from Central Europe and a bit of North Africa, North America. But Namibia has so much going for it in terms of what we offer, and you've just mentioned some of the highlights. And in terms of, you know, what do we do post-COVID? Should we change? Because every challenge brings new opportunities. We need to grab them. But I'm sometimes more for looking and sort of reviewing what we've done. And Namibia hasn't done that badly in terms of setting itself up as this, and NTB coined it in terms of the soulful, liberating destination that we offer. I mean, the late Paul Allen says, this country does such good for my soul. The amazing experience that Namibia offers, taken all the niceties apart, you know, the wonderful beer that we serve in this country, the highest dunes and the second biggest canyon. Namibia as a country inspires people. And I know that post-COVID, and there are surveys and proposals in place to make Namibia a country, you know, travel to heal Namibia. We've got a doctor who has proposals in place to say, Namibia, put yourself up as this haven for people wanting to flee from the lockdown status that they were, because we've got the space. Our travel comes with isolation basically as a natural given. So we don't put people in buses and clam them all together, and we don't have these big events, those virus spinners, those $5,000 big conferences, and I like what Hafeni said in terms of the potential that is there. Namibia can actually draw much more attention, and at the moment we're hoping and praying for, not wanting to put down any other destination, but Namibia could actually become a turning point and a hub for international travel, while the others are still looking at other dimensions when it comes to COVID. But even if, and I know there were these worrying sounds when, after having stayed with 16 cases for almost 40 days and then almost doubling that, or not quite, but you know, adding 50% to it, I wouldn't even be concerned, and I hope I'm not being crucified for it, but if we had 100 cases, so what? Some people are opening borders on our reinstituting travel that have thousands of cases. But people are strong enough to fend for it. It is a disease that we have to tackle. If we cry away in a corner, we won't make it. We have to brace ourselves and, like you say, optimize the risks and show that Namibia can actually deal with the situation. I'm pretty confident that we can. And what the most frustrating part is now, we've got the opportunities, we've got the interest. We need to unlock the opportunities that they are.
Sure. That's great. I like the ones. Maybe we can add to the big 7, big 8 our beer as well. You know?
Exactly.
Gijs, 1 or 2 final words before we go to give Fini the closing.
Yes, thank you, Sven. I think two things from my side. First of all, Sven, the time is now. The time is now. You know, for our leaders to make brave decisions. Not irresponsible, brave decisions. Let's put those air bridges, like Gita referred to, you know, with Frankfurt. Let's put that in place. Let's announce that. Let's have tourists in our country in August. You know, the time is now, and tourism can change the destiny of this country. It can change the future of Namibia. We have not scratched the surface of the potential of tourism in this country, and it's a sustainable business. It's kind to our communities. It's kind to our wildlife. You know, that is the one point. And the second point, I want to challenge the public out there. Go and experience Mondesa. Go to Hafeni, see what he's done. He's done a brilliant job. Support him.
Great. Yes. Hafeni, what motivating is this? I mean, I have to book my ticket with you as well. 1 or 2 words from you, Hafeni, in closing. Hopefully we are the only ones. Apologies. We seem to have lost Hafeni, and our time is now up. But I think for sure we have, when we heard now what Gijs, Gitta and Hafeni was saying, there's massive opportunity going forward. I think sometimes I wish I can just walk out and COVID is gone and we can go back and do whatever we need to do in terms of building the industry again. And I hear Hafeni is back. Can we, final word from you, Hafeni?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, final word from you.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. And I think I'm in the similar opinion with my colleagues that we need to be positive as Namibia. The right decisions must be made right now, and we need to save the tourism industry. We need to save the tourism industry. Yes, COVID-19 is here, but we must make the right decisions to coexist. We need to coexist with COVID-19. I mean, what if COVID-19 is here for the next 2 years? In watching major tourism organization closing down, job cuts and job losses is not good for the Namibia that we want. So we need to really take our leaders at the top level, make the drastic and tough decisions how to keep Namibia moving again, because tourism employs and touches a lot of lives. And I'm very concerned if the more we continue to keep make decisions that can make our economy more fragile, it's not good for stability of our beautiful Namibia. And number two is that entrepreneurs, we are entrepreneurs, unfortunately, we go through the tough storms like everybody else. And Sven, you told me that many years ago. I've experienced it, and I'm glad that I went through it, and I think I'm becoming stronger as a result of my failures. And I'm really looking forward for a win going forward because I've been there, I've gone through there. But I want to tell the entrepreneurs that we must never give up. This is the time where we need to now get to the height of our greatness, and if we are to do justice and save our beautiful country, and we need to create our own millionaires and our own billionaires in Namibia. And I think what you have done, you've done a great job to mentor and help a lot of entrepreneurs and inspire them, and I think we need more. Thank you for the opportunity again, and I'm really grateful that I was part of this. And it's not easy. We're in a tough time, and then we just need to be positive. And again, like Guys said, we need to find solutions now. Gita has said it as well. I think the whole industry is speaking the same language right now. And we need to hold hands more than ever. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hafeni. And as you heard, the word fail can actually mean first attempt in learning. I would like to thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. I'm looking forward to next week's Talk to Sven, which is about connecting in different ways, or new ways of connecting. Thank you. See you then.